if I was going after becoming a law enforcement officer now, how would I do it if I was starting from absolute zero? And when I say absolute zero, I mean no school, no experience, just straight out of the ground. And I wanted to make myself look like an appealing candidate. Let's discuss. Before we get started, I have those two gifts down in the description for you. The one is the Getting Started Workshop. It's going to walk you through each stage of the hiring process so you know exactly what you're in for and help you prepare for it. There's some additional bonuses in that workshop as well. Additionally, if you have something more specific to your hiring process, you want to sit down, you need help, you want guidance through it, jump on a one-on-one call with myself. They're free. I'll be glad to walk you through anything that you need and to help you get started with your process or move past any hurdles you may have. Both those gifts are in the description, free to you. Now, starting from zero, I have no experience. I have no direction. How am I going to go about this? First thing is I'm going to look at my surrounding area and what's available to me. If I could say pick any one thing to get you started off right, it wouldn't be college. It wouldn't be military. All those things are great and all those things will definitely help. But if I was just going to start tomorrow, where I know I could literally start tomorrow and possibly get rolling in a week or so, I'd start in security. I'd start as an unarmed security officer because most of the time armed requires a little bit more training and a little bit harder to get hired on with. But I'd start as an unarmed security officer. I'd literally go to Google or go to Indeed.com or Monster Jobs or whatever all the hiring platforms are out there these days. And I would type in there security officer positions near me or security jobs near me. And I would scroll through and I'd see one that kind of fits the schedule I'm looking for, that has comparable pay that I'm looking for, that will allow me to put money away. But the main reason I would do this is because this opens the door to a lot of different avenues. Take, for instance, you apply today for a security position, you get hired on next week because usually they're pretty quick about turnarounds and getting back to people. You get hired on next week, you go in, you do an interview, you get hired on next week, you go through your basic training, but you're going through your basic training and what has happened is your counter for employment has started. Not only has your counter for employment started, but security falls under a relatable skill. So you're going to get actual tangible experience that can translate over into law enforcement. So you have that, you're going to get paid, right? And as you're getting paid, you can decide what to do with that money. If that money is going to go towards school, right? You can maybe take a class or two at night, or maybe you can take additional training. Maybe you could take coaching, professional coaching so that you can mitigate any mistakes made. Maybe you will decide to save that money, right? And use it somewhere else. Maybe you have bills to pay, whatever it is, but you're now working, you're not unemployed, and your work history is developing. So you're really tackling a bunch just by going down this route. Now, military, I enjoy the military. I was in the military. The one reason I would say if law enforcement is your goal and military is a product to law enforcement, that's a big risk, because I shouldn't say big risk. It's a big delay, because if you sign up for the military and you say, hey, I'm going to go military police or master of arms in the Navy or any type of security forces in the Air Force, any type of law enforcement profession in the military, you're going to have to go through boot camp. Then you're going to have to go through a school or your AIT or whatever that branch is calling their advanced training. I shouldn't say they're advanced, but you have your boot camp, which is your basic training. And then you have your A school or your C school, which is your job training. All that takes time, whether you're going reserves or active duty. If you go reserves, that's still putting you behind months and months of applications, where if you're working security, you can apply whenever you want. And I mean, it's nice to have a longer work history, positive work history, but it doesn't mean you can't apply to law enforcement. So we're military, that kind of stops you in your tracks, because you have so many months of training that you're going to have to do. You're not going to be able to apply, because if you apply, and you get offered a job, or they tell you to come in for a PT, you're probably not going to be able to your first few months to first year of military, whether it's reserves or active duty. So we'll just rule that one out for this particular instance. Now, if you're saying, hey, no, I want to serve first and then go into law enforcement, then I support you. That's what I did. But for the most part, this particular episode is going to discuss how right now, if you wanted to get started next week, I'd go security. I'd start developing work history. I'd start developing money. I'd start developing experience. I'd decide what I need to do with my finances at that point in time to make sure my finances look good. That allows you to, maybe if you have a full-time job or a part-time job, reoccurring income, I start developing my credit, build my credit. All that can stem from accepting a position in the security line of work. Now, I'm not over here saying security is the best profession in the world. I've done my fair share of private security, but at the same point in time, it is the most translatable civilian work that you can do to point yourself in the right direction for law enforcement. So when you're asked a question in your board interview, is explain to me a time in a scenario where you had to deal with a difficult person and handle the situation in a respectful and legal manner. You can draw from that experience as a security officer or security guard. You can say, hey, at one point when I was working security, we had an irate individual come into and try to gain access to our building. We provided them with policy and procedure, advising them that they had to leave. They refused to leave. Then we advised them that, hey, we'd have to involve law enforcement. And we partnered with law enforcement to get the individual trespassed from the property. No one was injured. No complaints were made. And it was just effective and correct policy way of handling the situation. You're going to get that from security, right? You're going to be presented with those type of scenarios where you can actually draw on that experience. The other aspect is security it's very flexible. You can do shift work, you can do part-time, you can do a Monday through Friday, a 6 to a 2, or even an evening. So it really opens up your availability for other things, such as school, if you wanted to do school at the same time. If you wanted to maybe even work another part-time job, which you could, or you could use it to develop and study for new training skills that would increase your ability, such as EMT or CPR first aid, some firearms training, things that accelerate your ability to stand out in the application process, skills that are relatable to law enforcement. Maybe you're going to take some legal training or an investigator's class that's open to the public, where you don't have to be a law enforcement officer to attend. These are all really good things that kind of make you stand out and really helps you develop your resume for the application process. Now, as I said, if I'm going through and I'm looking to get started right now, that's where I would go. If I'm saying, hey, I want to develop long-term experience and I want to go another route, there's other options out there. I mean, of course, security, you can develop that long-term, and a lot of security positions pay really well. And you can go that way and develop a lot more experience that way. And that looks really good because you're elongating that with that good work history. And good work history is critical to getting hired as a police officer. But the other aspect is your ability to demonstrate, hey, I've been working at this profession for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 6 years. It's in the public safety realm. Security is related to law enforcement. And then at the same point, I've had good reviews. I've had good promotions. I've obtained a lot of different training. And all this stuff correlates to where you're trying to go with law enforcement. So security right now, if you're going to go a different route and you wanted to prolong and say, hey, I'm not quite ready to apply, you can do security right now. It still relates. Or you could go look into military or college, but you want to progressively be moving forward and putting yourself in a good position. So if I was going to start fresh right now, no experience, military wasn't an option for me. I didn't want to take out all these loans and hurt my credit with all these loans from school. I would start working security right now. I'd probably start picking up a class or two in school focusing on criminal justice. And I would make sure that financially I could swing that. And then I'd probably look at some personal development, such as some advanced certifications or coaching to guide me to that law enforcement profession that I want. So trying to find a good mentor and a good career coach to go that way. All right. I hope this helps. Listen, those gifts are still down in the description for you. The Getting Started workshop is going to walk you through every stage of the hiring process and some added bonuses. Additionally, that one-on-one call is down there as well. Jump on a call with me. We will go over specifically what your hiring process should look like and any issues or hurdles that you have. As always, stay safe, and I will see you next time.